Hello. Today I'm going to be drawing this side view of this yellow jacket. I really like this view because we could see a lot of good information, especially its abdomen. We could see all of those. We can see the individual ridges that make up the abdomen and act as a good deal of armor. Um, if I can tell you one thing, it would be that dealing with any vespoids or stinging insects and trying to get them out of your house is incredibly difficult. I have only done it once. Almost every other time I ended up killing it because I didn't want to get stung in the middle of the night. So, yeah, I tend to try to save most bugs if they're inside. So I thought I would work from this yellow jacket this way. So to start off, I'm going to draw the ball of the head. And I may make it a bit more ellipsoid rather than a ball, but you'll see where I get with it. Okay, now I'm going to draw the thorax, or a ball, to summarize the thorax, and I'll eventually add more onto it. I made it a little bit too big. Yeah, I think like that. I think that's good. Now for the abdomen, which I definitely will add more onto that. I think we could see where this stinger would be, but I think a lot of yellow jackets are a lot of them can retract their stinger into their body, which I find incredibly interesting. You know what? It's more like this. It's kind of like a long ellipse, or kind of like a long ellipse. Ah, I made it too big. Oops. Sorry about that. I had a Windows message appear on my screen. I wanted to also kind of like show, I'm drawing this line here because there's like an intermediary area. It's kind of like a thin tubing of the sort that connects the thorax and the abdomen together. Yeah, I think something like that does a good job at trying to capture the shape, which we will eventually add more parts onto. We could see a lot of the legs. I mean, I'm seeing one, two, three, four, five, six. I'm seeing six legs. I'm guessing the other one on the opposite side is a bit up in the air, so it makes it a little bit of a difficult situation to see it. So I'm gonna draw pilot holes. Our yellow jacket here is an insect, so it's got six legs. I think I made those holes a bit too big. And six of them, even though we can't see all of them, they are there. And I'm going to draw some. Well, you know what I'm going to do? Before I draw lines for the legs, I'm going to jump to our structure layer to add some initial structure. So looking at the head again, it's a bit more triangular. It's like significantly more triangular than one may anticipate. Oops. I never thought Yellow Jackets' heads were very friend shaped. I know that's a weird way to put it, but I've always thought that, like, you know, bees, I always thought bees were a bit more friendly looking, in my opinion. And you know, I'm trying to determine, I feel like we can see a little bit more of the head, so I may have drawn the eye a bit too big, but I can kind of compensate for that by doing that. So I wanted to add that because there's also like this section of its mandible, kind of goes like that. That may just be the color of it, but it all attaches to that head. And I'm going to try to just to show the light reflecting on its black eye. I may have to modify it just a little bit. Oops. It's like the highlight that's being reflected in the eye is a bit of a bean-like shape. Something like that. I feel like I could see, I'm not sure if it's a mandible or something like that. It's very subtle. Very, very subtle. I feel like we can see a little bit of the other mandible kind of going the other way. So now what I want to do is I want to add a little bit of structure. I could see where the wing is right here. It kind of looks like there's a bit of a form on the thorax. It kind of wraps around the form a bit. Kind of does that. I mean, I guess it's more on the form. I mean, it's a three-dimensional form before you see the wing. And I could see a portion of the attachment of the wing. Well, it's a bit difficult to see. You know, I'm going to do that part one more time because it looks like it's actually two parts. Looks like it kind of does that. Then there's like another part kind of here that wraps around and connects to that form. And then it kind of looks like the wing is a bit more kind of like it's kind of like attached to it all. So I'm going to quickly draw the wing. And we can kind of see a portion of the other wing peeking out. Although it's a bit more difficult to see it. And now that I look at it again, it looks like it's actually kind of going over. It's a bit of a challenge. I forgot. I think a lot of these. Oh, you know what? Okay. Well, one mistake that I made was I think the wing that I was drawing, I think I was going in the right direction, but now that I look at the comparison, it's kind of like the wing extends just a little bit before over the abdomen. And I made it looking a little bit too big. I think I made the dip of it a bit too large. think something more like that makes a lot more sense. And I think, and I could be wrong here, they may have 4 wings, or I'm not sure, but I think we're kind of seeing like 2 of them on the side as it goes, and it's just the other one exists. It's just kind of like in a bit of an overlapped like state. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to kind of add to the additional back form, because when you look at the thorax, it looks a bit squared out. So like there's like the tube area that's kind of connecting, well, that is connecting the thorax and the abdomen together, but there's a bit of an area that kind of bulges out a bit and kind of makes the thorax a bit more square-like. So there are a bunch of ridges on the back of this yellow jacket. As it wraps around the form. Some are a bit easier to see than others, but it's like all of these ridges and they all bulge out a bit. It's kind of like a little bit of interesting armor. Oops. Sorry, I'm trying to predict it looking a little bit longer than I expected it to be. And now the last part is kind of like pretty much the stinger. And I'm going to try to make it sharp. I'm going to try to make it... I don't believe that's the actual stinger. I believe its stinger is retracted in its body still. Because I know it looks sharp on the end here. But I want to say, like, you'd clearly be able to tell it's a stinger from it not being a stinger. And I know maybe a bit weird, kind of like appending that onto the end. Oh, you know what? I think the curve should have been a bit more curved like that. But I wanted to do that because considering how the abdomen is, I think it would have been too hard to fit the stinger on the ball. Because I guess it would have looked more like an egg if I wanted to do that. But an egg is a very difficult shape to draw. So it's not that I'm not willing to go the extra mile for that. I just don't believe I would have been able to execute that well. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to draw the lines for the antenna. You know what? Should have been more that way. Okay, I drew the lines for the antenna. And now what I want to do is I want to draw gestural lines for the legs that we can see. And I'm trying to keep a lot of things in mind when I do this. Specifically like what's being overlapped, how certain things show near the structure. Many times I've drawn legs after I've drawn the structure, and I would always see them coming out pretty much in the wrong way. Yeah, there's a lot of overlap going on with these legs. And not all of the connections are that easy to see. They're a little bit out of focus. That happens sometimes. Like, we really can't see all of the structure that makes up the wing. There are always sacrifices when you get certain shots. But okay, I want to work on the antenna. And when I look at the antenna, it's kind of like there are all of these stacking shapes. They're like a bunch of things kind of like that. Like a bunch of ovals overlapping as we go. Well, actually, you know what? They do, it kind of looks a bit more connected on one side, and it kind of tapers as it goes closer to the head. I think the initial connection, it's important to show that. And I guess you could think of it more like that. But you do have a lot of ridges that make up the actual antenna. They kind of, like I said, they look like a bunch of stacking ellipses. Based on this perspective, I think they're more like cups, but based on the perspective we're seeing them in, they are a bit more difficult to make out. Okay, now to work on the legs. You know what, going back real quick, I wanted to focus on the shape that's like connecting the abdomen to the thorax. I wanted to erase this line because I believe it doesn't really make all that much sense. I don't like to erase at all, but I think I kind of messed that up just a little bit. It's not a very clean shape. Like, I think it did make sense for the structure to kind of show how it was all coming together initially, but I think after the fact it may not have made all that much sense. But okay, enough focusing on that. I want to focus on the legs that I can see now. So looking at this leg, it's kind of like a shape that does that. It has like an S-curve side, and then has like a more C-curve side. And there's a lot of overlap going on, so it may be a bit difficult to see. But all of these leg parts attach elegantly. So looking at this line here, I think I should have made it curve out a bit more like that, in my opinion. I just not like the curve on that. I could have done it a little bit better. But sometimes you don't know until you're 90% done, you know? An important thing that I wanted to mention real quick is that, you know, in a lot of my videos, I focus on a given insect, but in general, if you're trying to draw something, you're probably going to have to draw it multiple times, and you're probably going to fail at drawing it multiple times. I don't mean to say fail. I mean, you'll definitely have a insect at the end, or an arachnid, or something at the end, if maybe drawing insects isn't your thing. But whatever it is, do know that you may have to, you're probably still in the learning process, so you may have to go through we'll just go through the stages of it a couple times and maybe iterating the given insect quite a couple times until you understand the flow of the insect. So I think I may have messed up the pilot hole here. It may have been a bit over here instead. There's a lot of overlap going on, which makes things a little tricky, but still doable. It's got some like spike things. I don't know what they are. I don't know what their purpose is. I will have to look into that. I've seen them on quite a few different insects. So looking at the legs here, I'm seeing like these 3 triangle shapes, then a bit of a longer one. So there's a back leg here. It's a little bit out of focus, and it's kind of going beyond... Oops, what am I doing? It's kind of going beyond this leaf, I'm guessing is what this insect is standing on. But it's something. Okay, now for this back leg that I'm seeing. So I wanted to put an endpoint. I think sometimes declaring somewhere to be the end is important to do, so you understand where you're heading. Or else it can make doing a lot of this a bit difficult. See like a little spike thing hanging off there. Now I'm gonna do this one. Oh, I can oh, I see another leg. I guess I forgot to do that one. I'll do it just for the purposes of this. It's funny, I can't believe I missed it. I guess I was looking for the last leg and I just couldn't see it initially. Okay, so yeah, this other leg is just behind so many different things. Right, it looks like it's a little bit in front too. I wonder if I got the back right leg confused with the left back leg. Possibly I did. But I'll try to draw what I'm seeing. I'm going to draw just a quick gestural line, because there's a lot of overlap going on and it may not be the cleanest to see. But I'll try to draw what I see. I see like a very significant long leg. Where it attaches to is a bit more tricky to see because we really can't see it. And I know there's got to be more sections to this leg than we're seeing at face value. But I thought I would try to draw a little bit of it. But yeah, there we have it. We have our wasp. And I think this part here should have been just a little bit bigger than how I did it, as it wraps around the thorax. But yeah, I hope this video helps you. I would draw the hair. There's just so much of it, and I don't think I'm going to draw the hair because I also really can't see the wing structure all that much. But yeah, if you like the video, please like it. If you like my channel, please subscribe. And if you have a question, please ask in the comments. Thank you very much for listening, and thanks to James for the photo. Bye.